Hello, creatives. Thank you for dropping by. Before we get started, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out and it helps out the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. So today's thought comes to us from Maya Angelou, and she says, you can't use up your creativity. The more you use, the more you have. And this is a hard concept for some of us to grasp because we have a tendency, and I guess it's just human nature, to kind of want to hoard our ideas, hoard our creativity. I don't want to use it all up, or I want to make sure that when I do finally use it, it's in the right way. And what I've discovered in my personal experience is exactly what Maya says, is the more you use up your creativity, the more you end up having. And I'll give you an example. I was in the middle of a series of books, Sepia Blue series, which is a few years back. And while I was in the middle of this series, writing it, I was in the third book, I ended up with the idea. The idea for another series blindsided me right in the middle of writing a series. And I'm like, okay, I can't pay attention to a whole other series right now. I'm in the middle of one. And the idea just kept harassing me and inserting itself into my thoughts. At some point, it didn't even let me sleep. And I said, okay, fine, let me just write this down and get it out of my head. And that way, I could finish the series that I'm currently in the middle of. And that was the inception of the Montague and Strong series. It's a completely other series that I'm 25 books into at this point. And I use that example to show you that when you're in the midst of creativity, when you're in the midst of expressing yourself, when you're in the midst of just doing the things that you want to do and kind of just letting it go and getting out there and demonstrating your creativity, that's when the ideas will come to you. Louis L'Amour said, inspiration comes when you're in the, and I'm paraphrasing this badly, but basically what he was trying to say, or what he said was, you get inspiration when you're in the middle of creative endeavors. When you're in the middle of something creative, that's when you get inspired. You don't just sit there and wait for inspiration to come, because it's not going to happen that way. Inspiration comes to you when you're in the middle of something creative, and then another idea will come at you, and another idea will come at you. And I'm not saying every idea is going to be amazing, but what I am saying is you're going to get flooded by ideas if you're in the middle of something, if you're busy doing something creative, if you're getting that creative expression happening. If you're just sitting for the muse to come or for inspiration to strike, you're going to be sitting for a really, really long time, and not much is going to happen. But when you're in the middle of expressing yourself, whatever the case may be, painting, writing, whatever it is, dancing, music, whatever the creative expression is, when you're in the middle of that, when you're in the middle of doing this creative thing that you love, that is when you're going to get ideas. That is when more ideas are going to come at you. So as Maya Angelou says, she says, you can't use up your creativity. And it's true, you really can't. When you think about that concept, I'm not going to use up my creativity. What does happen if you don't use it, what's that saying? Use it or lose it. If you don't use your creativity, it gets harder to express yourself creatively, because it's almost like you put up walls, right? So she says you can't use up your creativity. The more you use, the more you express yourself, the more you put stories out, the more you draw, the more what you create great dances or music or whatever the case, film, whatever it may be. The more you dive into that, the more you immerse yourself into that, the more you have. And it's true, because you think about it, you come up with one idea and you start expressing that idea, and out of that idea, other ideas will form. Like I can tell you again from my own experience, I have that one series, the Montague and Strong series. But from that one series, I've had all these other ideas, these offshoots, these spin-offs, as they're called, that came while I was writing that series. And I can tell you with all certainty, I can guarantee you, I wouldn't have had those ideas that came later if I hadn't started the first one, if I hadn't started the idea that I was in the middle of. Now I know better. Now what I do is when I get these ideas, I just write them down and keep them off to the side and revisit them when I have time to do it. But I don't neglect the idea. What I do is I store it and I keep it, and I realize that I'm going to get more ideas. In fact, I have another few ideas that are coming at me now, and I'm like, oh God, I can't do this at the moment. So what I do is I write it down and say, okay, I will revisit you, you know? So basically what I want you, and I get I'm a little passionate about this because it's so impactful to your life as a creative warrior, right? So what Maya says, you cannot use up your creativity. Believe that. Really, really believe that. The more you use, the more you have. That's so key. So hold on to that idea. And, you know, test it out. Get creative. Do something. Start a project. And you'll see that as you're doing that, more ideas will come to you. Above all of that, you know what I'm going to say? Be uncommon. Have a great day.